I'm not just hitting for 1, 2, or even 3 weaknesses, I'm hitting for 4 weaknesses in the expanded format with this awesome one prize attacking deck. Come and check out the deck profile coming up first, and then we have some matches as always. But if you are new here, be sure to subscribe as I do post these videos multiple times a week, and there are timestamps in the description if you want to jump between the list and the matches. Let's get into it and show you how the deck works. Taking a look at the deck list itself then, as you can see we do have a lot of Pokemon here, so if you're familiar with something like Mad Party or Night March or Lost March, any of the March kind of decks, then you'll definitely be familiar with this one, as it's a very similar concept. You discard a bunch of Pokemon and then you deal damage based on the amount of Pokemon in your discard pile. We have 2 attacks based around this. We have the Vespiquen here, which has Be Revenge, which as I mentioned does 20 plus 10 for each Pokemon in your discard pile, and it is a double colorless. This is a good attacker as it's hitting for grass weakness. And then we also have the exact same attack on this Flareon, but it is instead called Vengeance. But like I've said, it's the exact same attack, but since it's a fire type, you're going to be hitting for fire weakness. And then since it does evolve from Eevee, we do get to take advantage of other evolutions, and in this case it's going to be the Jolteon with electric effect and Vaporeon with aqua effect. These abilities make your stage 1 Pokemon become these types as well. So in addition to hitting for grass or fire weakness, we also get to hit for lightning weakness and water weakness. So that is where our 4 weaknesses come from, and means that we can easily take advantage of weakness across a whole bunch of different matchups. And that's really what's going to set this deck apart from other one prize attacking decks, which often struggle to get knockouts on big VMAX Pokemon, and while we are in the same situation, we don't even have enough Pokemon here to get a big one-hit knockout on a VMAX Pokemon. If we are able to take advantage of the weakness, then that is going to grant us those one-hit knockouts. But nevertheless, even if we aren't taking a one-hit knockout, we are a one-prize attacking deck, and we are able to trade favourably with real box decks which aren't giving up one prize card, they're giving up 2 or 3 prize cards. And we do have a couple of other Pokemon to note here. Of course, we have the Dunsparce. I do really like this card as it does have that second bite attack, allowing you to deal 10 plus 10 more for each damage counter on the defending Pokemon. So if you don't have a Vespiquen set up after you attack, or a Flareon if you've been attacking with those, then you can go in with second bite and finish something off. And this also has a free retreat, so it's a nice little pivot there. And then the other supporting Pokemon that we have 4 copies of Unknown with Farewell Letter. Of course, this is great for just drawing through your deck and giving you that bonus consistency, as well as the fact that it discards itself, so there's really no reason not to play this deck. It is a no-brainer for sure. Then we've got couple of Oranguru here. We've got the one with Instruct. If your hand gets pretty small, you can use this to draw some cards. And we also have the Primate Wisdom Oranguru, as it allows you to protect some of your important cards, things like double colorless energy, for example. Then we've also got some tech cards here. We've got some Jirachi and Tapu Lele for searching out supporters, and we also have a Marshadow, just if there's any annoying stadiums, then we can get rid of those, but for the most part, we are just going to be discarding this. And we also have the Oricorio here, as it's perfect for the mirror match, or if you're against a Mad Party type of deck, you can easily sweep up all of those Pokemon in one attack with this Oricorio. Now taking a look at the trainer lineup, it is very thin. Of course, half the deck is Pokemon, so naturally the other half is going to be trainers, with the exception of 4 double colorless energy to cover our attack cost. Now you could always play twin energy if you prefer, but I do play the double colorless because it means that we can actually use it on Tapu Lele to attack with if we really need to, in a pinch anyway, to finish off a Pokemon. But for the most part, that's all you need for the energy, as we do play a couple of special charge to recycle these. So even if you do need more than 4 attacks, then you should be all good to go there. And we have just a bunch of stuff to get our Pokemon out and into play, like Ultra Ball and Level Ball, since a lot of our Pokemon do have a low HP, so these are going to be great for searching them out. And we have a high count of Battle Compressor. Of course, you have to discard Pokemon to deal damage, and you also get to use it to make your deck more consistent so you can find what you need. And then our only supporter card is Professor Sycamore or Professor's Research, whatever one you want to prefer to use. As this does discard our hand, we get to again easily discard those Pokemon and then draw a fresh hand. So super consistent deck, as you'll see in the games, and it's also a lot of fun to play as well, as you can really ramp up that damage very quickly, especially if you're hitting for weakness, as it's a lot of fun to try and hit for those 3, 4, 500 damage marks when you are hitting for weakness. So let's get into a couple of games here and see how we get on, and I'll showcase the deck and talk through my thought process as always. So be sure to give the video a like if you do enjoy it at any point, as it really helps me out, and we'll get right into the matches here. Jumping into our first game here, we're going to have an interesting one as my opponent flips over a Charmander. So they're clearly playing some sort of Charizard deck. It will just be a case of which Charizard it is that they are playing. But of course we are going to be wanting that Vaporeon, just in case they have some other Pokemon around that are fire types that we can hit for weakness. Probably not going to need the Jolteon, so we can get rid of that quite happily here. And they're probably not playing something like our deck. Oricorio can be a good discard. And anything else that we want to discard, I think just getting rid of something like an Eevee is perfectly fine here, as we have a bunch of other options in our hand already. A little bit sketched out that my opponent is going to donk us here, so I guess we're going to have to put down the Jirachi just to have an extra Pokemon, as the Charmander here can hit for 10 damage. If it's the Leon Charizard deck, then they can knock us out with that. So on that basis, I am going to be forced to put down the Jirachi, which is a little unfortunate. And I mean, we already have a Sycamore in our hand, so there's not much point in taking one out of the deck. So we'll just go with that, and I'll hold on to the energy for now. Why not? Pass it over to my opponent, see what they have for us. Perhaps they just do nothing here, which is going to be perfectly fine for us, and we'll be able to deal some big damage. But there's always that possibility that they attach energy and use Leon, in which case we would be in a horrible position. So doesn't look like that's going to be happening. They are using the Cynthia, are going for an attack though, which I did consider, and it is not quite enough to get a knockout, so we're perfectly fine with this, as we do have the Vespiquen in our hand already, and we also have the Oranguru here that we could use for Instruct, but I think I'm just going to reserve my bench space and keep it for the other Oranguru around. But of course, we only need a couple of Pokemon here in order to actually get the knockout, and with this Battle Compressor, that is going to be all that we need. We can just discard any 3 Pokemon here. We even get the Unknown for good measure, just to confirm that there is 7 Pokemon in here. And yeah, as you can see, we have plenty of Pokemon to easily knock out our opponent's Charmander with that Be Revenge attack. And that is going to win us the game just like that, as my opponent also had nothing else going on. So let's get into another game here. Starting off this game, we're up against an Eternatus deck here, so this is going to be a very interesting matchup, as we are going to be forced to hit our opponent, and that is just something that you have to deal with some of the vmax matchups. But we do have the double unknown start here going first, so we can certainly Farewell Letter, get a couple of extra draws, which is always welcome, especially in these early turns. We get into a Professor Sycamore, which is reasonable, but I think it will just Ultra Ball, get rid of one of these Trainer's Mails, although I suppose I could keep one of them around, which I think I will do here. I'll keep one around and discard the double colourless energy, since we can always get that back, and I am going to grab ourselves another benched Pokemon, or basic Pokemon, to put on our bench here. Definitely going to go for another basic that we can evolve. Probably going to take a Eevee just for the sake of it, as I do believe the Eternatus, or maybe not. I was thinking it had resistance for some reason, I'm not quite sure why, but hey ho, it's all good. We have another EV down, and we can also hold on to these trainer mails for the following turn, just in case my opponent plays something like a Marnie or something along those lines. Then we can always keep these in our hand. Alternatively, if you did want to be aggressive there, you could always use the trainer's mail, hope that you hit something like a battle compressor, and that would be the ideal item there that you would be looking for, so that you can discard some Pokemon and really get the ball going. Looks like my opponent finds a quick ball off of their order pad though, since they did get a heads on that order pad. That allows them to search out a trainer card, or an item card I believe, and they go for the quick ball here, actually getting a Tyranitar V, so not your typical Eternatus list by any means, but they are certainly getting a lot of energy into play, which is exactly what you want with the Eternatus deck and expanded. They're going to be putting down a Silent Lab, shutting off any basic abilities, which is certainly an issue. This means that we can't use our Jirachi or our Tapu Lele if we want to. And we also top tick the double colorless, so we're going to be losing that once again. And oh man, this sucks. This is a terrible trainer's mail. Definitely don't want any of those. And we can't even use our Oranguru either if we draw into it, since they did put down that Silent Lab. Well, looks like we're getting another Professor's Sycamore. I keep not wanting to call it Professor's Research, but it is a different kind of Professor. That's all fine. Looks like we're not going to be finding our Flareon though, so we can't get an attack off this turn. We do have a special charge though that I do want to be playing. Get those energy back into the deck as fast as we can here. And of course we're going to be using our double battle compressor that we just drew into, so that we can discard some of these cards here that we're not going to need. Definitely keep the Dunsparce around, as that could be a good option to finish off my opponent. And we'll just discard these three and pick another three from our second battle compressor. Not going to need the Jirachi now, since they did play out that Silent Lab. Of course, Marshadow is also going to be useless. It is a basic Pokemon, so while we could put it into play, we're not going to be able to make use of it here, so I am just going to discard it. And we can certainly put the Combi down, that's reasonable. We can actually get an attack off as well with the Eevee, I guess. We'll do a little bit of damage here. We are dealing 30 damage. Probably not going to be all that relevant, but it's better than just passing into our opponent, I suppose. They're also not using a typical list as we've seen with the Tyranitar, but here they are going for a Steven, which does get them a supporter card as well as a basic energy, so at least guaranteeing that energy if they do get the VMAX. But they are just going to be taking the knockout and also hitting us for 30 damage. Let's promote our combi here. We're going to go for a big Sycamore play. We do top deck the Flareon, which is quite nice, but I am looking for that Vespiquen so that we do have an attacker in that regard. And of course we're not able to find one, because why would we be able to? Let's battle compressor, hopefully discarding some Pokemon that is not going to be any use to us now. Get rid of an Eevee and potentially another one, I guess, or also just a combi, I suppose, is fine. Get rid of those. We have some Acrobikes we can use. There's a computer search as well as the Vespiquen. That really sucks, because that computer search could get us an energy, but we do also need the Vespiquen, so I'm going to take the computer search since it does get us the energy, like I said. And also getting rid of the Dunsparce kind of sucks as well, but it's fine, we'll go for it. Discarding the Dunsparce and Unknown here, so we can search out an energy. Guarantees us that at the very least. And then the Acrobike once again, looking for that Vespiquen, but now we find the energy off of the Acrobike, so we're going to be stuck trying to look for the Vespiquen here. We get a level ball, will do it. Vespiquen does have 90 HP, so level ball is all we need here in order to get that Vespiquen. We also have an additional combi that we can play down, no reason not to. And we're not going to have the biggest attack here from Be Revenge, but apparently it is. But I mean, I honestly did not judge it well enough. Didn't realize we're going to be doing 200 damage. as I certainly didn't think we're anywhere close to that. But no, we do have a quite large amount of Pokemon in our discard pile, and Eternatus was just a regular V Pokemon, so we do get 2 prize cards off it, but it's not a VMAX, so it wasn't going to be surviving the hit there. My opponent does have the Tyranitar, which of course they can attack with, as they did have the Wishful Baton on the Eternatus, so they got to carry their energy over. And they go for a Vespiquen into another Steven, which is certainly not what you want to be going for, but they don't really have any other good options, as you can see there. And they go for the Rescue Stretcher as well. But yeah, if we have a look at our discard pile, we see we do have a lot of Pokemon in here. We have 4 Pokemon here, and we have a lot of Pokemon here in general. So most of them are out of the deck and thinned out quite nicely. And my opponent doesn't even take a knockout here, so we might be in a great position to actually just take a knockout of my opponent. Although they do have a lot of HP, 230 HP. They are weak to grass though, so that is definitely going to be in our favour. And we do have a level ball for another Vespiquen that we can also retreat into and ensure that my opponent doesn't take a knockout on this following turn as a return knockout. So definitely going in with a fresh Vespiquen here, since we do have the option to. Hitting for that weakness, 400 damage, easily knocking out that Tyranitar and taking an additional 2 prize cards. Going over to my opponent is going to be near impossible for them to make a comeback at this stage in the game. They do play down some more Pokemon though, so they do have some stuff going on since they were able to draw some cards. They're going for the boss's orders, hoping that they can stall us out, but of course we do have our energy in hand, so we can easily just attach that no problem, and once again attack for that 200, taking our second to last prize card. And you got to imagine here that my opponent is really unsure of the way that they're going to win this game, because there's no clear route for them that's going to be effective in actually winning here. So they go for a third Steven, getting a Team Flare Grunt. Very interesting choice. Certainly not a meta build of Eternatus or a dark deck in general. Looks like a more rogue dark deck from the looks of things anyways. We'll have to see what they go for here though. They can't really go for a big attack with the Sableye, as it will only deal 10 damage, but looks like they go for it anyway, as there's nothing else that they can really do. So we can probably just retreat here. I'm pretty sure the Sableye is also weak to grass, and it is. So yeah, we would have just retreated there, or I suppose the Sableye only has, what, 190 HP, so we could have also knocked out the Flareon. Either way, we were all good in that matchup, and you can really see the consistency of the deck once you get going and discard a bunch of your Pokemon. Let's get into another match and close out this video on a high. To close out this video, we're up against some sort of fire deck once again. Got a Torkoal here in the active spot, Torkoal V to be precise. Our hand isn't looking too hot though. We just got a farewell letter as well as an Acrobite to work with. I guess we'll farewell letter first of all, see what we're drawing to. It's going to be the Oricorio. That's Acrobite. We get into another Acrobite or an Eevee, neither of which particularly take my fancy, but we'll go with the Acrobite, try and dig a little bit deeper here. We get a Flareon, okay, take the Trainer's Mail. That gets us even deeper into the deck. I definitely like that. And there we go, there's the Professor Sycamore. That is going to suit me quite nicely. And we have the Rescue Stretcher to get something back here, so definitely want to do that. Probably just going to take the Eevee, I feel. It's probably the best option since we can put an energy down onto it. We definitely don't want to be shuffling Pokemon into the deck anyway, as the whole goal, of course, is to discard Pokemon. So let's Professor's Research here, discard the rest of that hand, and see what we get into. And I do definitely like this hand a lot better. We have a lot more options to work with here. Definitely going to go for the level ball so that we can search out another basic to work with. Let's just search out the Eevee for now so that we have the potential to put down that Vaporeon if we want it. Also go for the Battle Compressor. Certainly discard some Pokemon that we're not going to need, like the Jolteon. We can also get rid of the Marshadow, probably not going to be a big deal here. And I don't mind getting rid of Jirachi either, since we do have the Tapu Lily in there. So there's 3 more Pokemon hitting the discard pile. I think we can hold the rest of this hand just until we see what my opponent has for us. But naturally, we will be using that computer search to discard 2 Pokemon. And from there, we should be in a perfect position in order to win this game. So I really enjoy playing this deck. If you can't tell, I have covered it on the channel many years ago in an previous version of it, if you will say so, but certainly updated it a little, mainly with the Oranguru, the new one with the Primate Wisdom. It's pretty good Pokemon to have, to be fair, being able to protect your energies or whatever it is that you need. But yeah, my opponent didn't even attack here. They could have, but they opted not to. So we're going to take that to our advantage. We have the Flareon, and we have the Vaporeon. We also have the computer search here, discarding 2 Pokemon. Let's just try and maximize our damage and do as much as possible here and really show off for my opponent, since the amount of times that I get BM'd on the Pokemon trading card game is unreal. So we might as well do it back to our opponent. Discard 3 Pokemon, go for the Acrobike. We get an energy, that's perfectly fine since we're discarding another Pokemon. And then we can retreat and go for that Vengeance attack for a whopping 300 damage on, what was that, the second turn of the game. That's pretty good if you ask me. Not always going to happen, but certainly that was all thanks to being able to hit for weakness, because if we didn't get that Vaporeon down, we would have only done 150 there, which would not have been enough to knock out that Torkoal V. So certainly showing off the power of hitting for weakness in the matches that we did play, and that is the whole point of this deck, as well as just being a super fun one prize attacking deck. Hopefully you enjoyed that video. I certainly had a lot of fun going through it. It's had some short matches for sure, but at least we did get one kind of long one that was enjoyable. Anyways, I'll stop rambling and I'll see you in the next video.